Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Arcane Assist. And today's a pretty exciting episode because our friend Nathan lent us some chariots, some Man-O-War chariots.
And by some, we mean four.
4 chariots. And when you have access to 4 chariots, well, you play 4 chariots. We have 2 siege chariots and 2 assault chariots in the armored core theme. I'm playing a list piloted by Butcher1, who I think will help their damage output significantly. The rest of the list is Ruin, his character Jack, and a Spriggan for the battle group. 2 minimum units of mechanics to offer advanced move to 2 of the chariots. And a free suppression tanker, a free suppression tanker, a free strike tanker, and a strike tanker that I paid for. Evan, what are you bringing today?
I'm bringing Zaadesh2. Something people have wanted for a while is Zaadesh2 with some turtles. So, we're here. We have Zaadesh2 with his battle group of a Bronzeback, a Gladiator, an Archidon, 2 Agonizers and a Krea. All of those 3 are free. And an Aradus Soldier.
Yeah, the Soldier is a nice touch. It's obviously a great sack-pun target for Zaadesh because it has Carapace, gives you a little bit of gun resiliency, and it gives you an AD piece.
Yes. All of these things are nice.
Yeah, so without further ado, we will jump into the game. So deployment is a little bit tricky. One of the things that I have to think about in this list is just literally unpacking 4 huge bases. We've got a couple of obstructions in the terrain that can make this a bit trickier, plus my own objective, which I did take the repair objective in this matchup. I've got pretty good access to Pathfinder, but there's a couple of majorly restricted corridors with that very large obstruction in the zone. So, I'm basically looking for corridors where advanced move models can be in good positions. I'm hoping to put pressure on Evan's list early by putting, chariots that can shoot pretty far, up pretty far. But still leave room to get my suppression tankers up as quickly as possible. The advanced move theme benefit on the Man-O-War theme Armored Core is really interesting because you get it for every unit you take. So I've got 2 min units of mechanics, and you get it on Man-O-War models, which the chariots are, the Drakens are, like a lot of the sort of quietly faster pieces available in the Armored Core theme can make use of those. So, I've played it a couple times with Drakens where you advance move them so that they can charge Hellmouths on turn 1 if they've got, a line of sight to those pieces. Can kind of change some of its matchups. I like it better than, plus 2 inches of deployment on a theme like this because it adds a lot of flexibility to the way the list plays. In some matchups, you move the siege chariots forward. In some matchups, you move the assault chariots forward. It depends a little bit on how you're playing. Because Evan brought 2 huge bases, I'm moving the siege chariots forward. He doesn't yet know that, perhaps, but it's something that I'm doing. But I have positioned so that they've got room to completely step out of the deployment zone.
So, I'm deploying Zaadesh pretty centrally, along with the bulk of his battle group, that being the Bronzeback and the Gladiator. The Archidon's going to take the left-hand flank, where Ruin and the majority of Tim's battle group is. Basically, just to be annoying, he can try to crit throw Ruin away, making it harder for him to do things, which is nice. Paingivers are going to go on either side of the turtles, basically give them tokens turn 1 if they need it, and if not, just be ready to give them the tokens on turn 2. The Aradus is going to deploy fairly centrally, and we're just going to get going into the first turn.
So, here's that advanced move that I talked about. Again, Pathfinder on these guys, huge bases, speed 7. They're getting a lot of value out of that advanced move. Moving this one up 7 and then 6. There is room between that obstruction and the objective to move that model. Not a ton of room, but a little bit of play. So that's why he deployed kind of centrally there. And it's turn 1. Basically, my considerations this turn are get Butcher's upkeeps out, which are Vengeful, Iron Flesh, and Fury. Probably going to end up Furying one of the Chariots that I'm hoping to kind of go into melee with later. And then I'm going to try to take some pot shots at this Sentinel. Can't be knocked down, but it can be slammed. So I'm thinking maybe if I just sort of slam it back, it'll only be able to hyper-aggressive forward 3. The odds are I get 3.5 inches, so I can actually slightly reduce its threat. It's maybe not the best target of opportunity, but it's something that's available to me. With a 7-inch advance, I tow just enough into the forest to draw line of sight to it, take a shot, manage a hit, and it is They're mat 6. They're mat 6, mat 7, which without a boosting mechanic is pretty important. I slam it back 2 inches, and then do POW 20 is dice minus 3. I think 6 points of damage.
Something like that.
So good early chip damage on a piece that's pretty resilient to guns. POW 20 guns will, do damage even to carapace pieces. And then Evan does choose to hyper-aggressive forward the 3 inches. So I slammed him back. He came forward 3. He actually got an inch of threat out of that. So I end up repoing the Chariot back a bit.
I also check to make sure I'm not going to be in range of the other Siege Chariot so that I don't get cannonballed twice.
Yep. The Siege Chariot pops down its cool smoke, and it repos 3 inches back. So, step 1, shots fired. Gets a little bit of damage. I'm hoping that just putting damage into him kind of gradually throughout the course of the game will help. Again, I kind of have to treat this as a combined arms list. It's got some melee backup, but not as much as some lists might. One of the changes that I considered for this list is doing a min unit of demo core, getting them in. I think it costs me mechanics and one of the tankers, possibly 2 of the tankers, and you get the UA on them. I decided eventually that I just wanted the flexibility of the tankers and that the 2 mechanic units were enough to score the zones. And that's what you see me setting up to do here. I run both chariots up. The one that advanced moved is quite deep into that zone, putting as much pressure as I can, just staying out of 13 so the turtle can't charge it. Same thing here. And then the mechanics, who are actually only speed 5, so they don't go super far. They're up into the zone as much as they can be. Ruin just charges forward, goes his full 9 inches because he has the sort of boundless charge bond. Butcher is just going to advance 5. This is probably a positioning mistake. I probably should have activated Butcher before Ruin, put all my 3 upkeeps out, and then charged Butcher, so we got a little bit of extra threat range. Getting him up the table is actually kind of an important feature of unpacking a list like this, because he wants to be able to put his personal pressure on the list. And then the Spriggan runs, tankers run, and that's Armored Core turn 1.
So first thing I notice is that the tanker, or rather the chariot, closer to the top side of the table, it's pretty far up. He's in threat of the Archidon, but not in melee threat of the turtle. And the math on it is actually not that bad. If I can throw up Enrage on the Archidon, which I can, and give it a free charge, which I can, it puts out pretty significant damage. And with the damage from the gunshots of the turtle, mathematically, if I roll 3 shots on the turtle and roll average damage on the Archidon throughout the entire time, and roll average damage on the turtle throughout the entire time, I do 32 damage to the chariot, and it has 28 boxes.
Yeah, the chariots are, and I certainly should have measured this. There's probably not a great reason to be at a 13 there. The chariots are only armor 19, so they're a little bit softer targets than you might anticipate. And they have 28 boxes. They're quite a bit squishier than comparably the CJ Animantarax.
So I debate about that, but I have to do some things first. The turtle obviously has to go first. I want to stay out of threat range of Ruin, which I've measured. So the turtle moves basically so that the beast handlers in behind can actually go in. I only get 2 shots, unfortunately, and they only do 1 damage, which is significantly lower than the damage I would need if I wanted to fully kill it. That said, I'm feeling a bit of the gambler's fallacy here. I'm like, all right, the turtle rolled a little low, but the Archidon can spike for me. That's fine.
Gambler's fallacy got your back?
Yeah, gambler's fallacy, you got my back.
The other thing that we check here, which is a little bit important because it was kind of close, is if one of the beast handlers could walk, not just to give Enrage, but also to be in.
Yeah, I did measure that before I committed to this plan. So the one beast handler goes and rages the Archidon. The other couple go and whip the turtle and heal it to full. They only do 2 damage to it though, so it only has 2 tokens.
But it's at full health, which is important.
But it is at full health. The Gladiator is going to go and rush the Archidon, because he needs to do that in order for the Archidon to have threat.
It's in range of the Bronzeback, so its leadership removes the fury from him.
And then the Archidon goes in and charges. And then he misses his charge attack with double ones, and suddenly this is not going very well for me in terms of killing this Siege Chariot this turn.
Second damage rolls average. Double ones on the next spot attack.
It doesn't go well.
Nothing on. So you do
7 damage.
Yeah, it's
Out of a projected 32. That's maybe not great.
That's I think it's sufficiently below average.
Yeah.
So that I kind of get forgiven for my fuck up there. That's nice.
This turtle goes and starts shooting at the other Siege Chariot. Might as well just put some points in. Make him have to repair with the mechanics so that they're slogging a little bit farther behind the next turn.
You actually do a ton. You do considerably more against this guy than you did against the other one.
Yeah. Damn it, turtles. Change places. So, that's basically the damage I put in. I'm staying out of the melee threat. I know I'm going to get shot a bunch. So I'm going to move this Krea up into basically the most important position it will ever be in this game. And that is Force Aura catching the turtle, the bug, and the Gladiator, and just all the important pieces on that side of the table. Although first up, Zaadesh is going to go, put Inviolable Resolve on the turtle, and instead of casting Battle Charge, I'm going to block off that entire area between the two forests with 2 clouds. So that my heavies, that being the bug and the Bronzeback, can get pretty aggressive without immediately dying. Because I don't want... Because unless Tim really commits his chariots in a big way, they're not going to be able to get any shots on either the Bronzeback or the bug.
Yeah, it's and that's probably good because at this point, despite having Carapace, the bug is softened up enough that it could die to some really dedicated attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So just denying the line of sight there lets it play much further forward than it would.
Yep. And then after the Siege Turtle over there, or on the bottom, had done a ton of damage, repoed back, Beast Antlers go, give it its tokens, heal it a bit, do the regular shtick, and then it's off to Tim.
Yeah, so I got lucky last turn. Obviously, I basically get to have an Archidon, and I debate what my game plan is this turn. I've got a few different options, including do I feat this turn? So if I feat this turn, I get to do boosted range damage rolls, basically. I mean, it's all damage rolls, but I'm mostly getting them for my ranged attacks here. I'm really hoping that between the two the chariots here, they can kill that Archidon and maybe put some decent shooting into the CG Animantarax. I initially forget the Krea bubble, which is quite relevant. It takes the Animantarax from a pretty much I'm going to hit him with my shots 10 to a some of those 6s are going to miss, which is a really important distinction. He also has about 8 more boxes than the chariots do.
He's 35 boxes.
7 more boxes.
So he also has Inviolable Resolve on him.
Yeah. So against guns, he's armor 24. Pretty tough to chew through. I've got some pieces that are good at shooting him here, but some that are going to struggle a little bit.
You did manage to repair that one to full. Yep. No problems there. It just happens. Thankfully for me, Ruin's outside of 11 of that Archidon, so you can't clear it out of the way and then move in with the Chariot.
Yeah, I debated. I looked to see, can Ruin just charge in here and then my chariots are free to just kind of roam. He can't. And initially, I make a mistake here. I think I decide that I'm just going to run Ruin so he can be in range to collect a soul from that Archidon. That probably ends up giving Ruin away for not very much. My rationale is if I give him just a lot of hard targets that are going to be very, very difficult to chew through, he'll leave enough left in the tank for me to kind of clear what's left. Unfortunately, I think I'm over-assessing the durability of the chariots and underutilizing their mobility. So I stick Ruin within 5 inches of the Archidon, just with a run. He's got Vengeful upkept on him. Butcher does upkeep all 3 spells this turn. Vengeful's in a bit of an awkward place in this matchup because I can put it on the Siege Chariots, who have can't be knocked down, but they're only 0.5 melee range. And I can put it on Ruin, who has a 2-inch melee range, but he can be knocked down by the turtles. So probably that's a misallocation of that upkeep spell. I should have just put it on the Spriggan, who has steady and a 2-inch melee range, but you never know. Sometimes you kind of have to read those elements of the matchup as you play. The Siege Chariot moves here. It doesn't have enough room to charge, which is kind of a big deal because the charge gives it both a boosted attack roll and a second initial with its impact. So it just gets to make one attack, needs a 7, but it does land the hit. It's in Butcher's control, and Butcher did feat, so it gets 3 dice damage. Does a nice hot spike here for damage.
Does 15.
Yeah, that's
15.
That's helpful.
Archidons only have 25 boxes.
Yeah, so it's down to 10 boxes left. I debate just taking a shot at it, but instead I shoot the Animantarax. And this is the moment where I realize that the Animantarax is in the Krea aura. And I'm probably not going to do enough damage to it. That was a dice -4 shot, which even under the feat would only have contributed about 7 points of damage. And I missed that shot with a 5. Bit of a problem, for sure.
A little bit.
Probably the realization of that Krea aura would have made this not a great turn to feat, but you make mistakes. I make an impact attack here, get base space of the Archidon and not within half an inch of anything else. I missed the impact attack on the Archidon, but hit the cavalry charge attack because of the boost. And this gets to be 4 dice damage at dice -1. Probably going to do that last 10 points damage.
Just crushes it.
Yep. Finishes it off. Ruin collects the soul. And I generate 4 shots.
Yep, it is a D3 plus 1 gun.
Yep. And instead of shooting at the Arm 24... Sorry, I do shoot the Arm 24... Turtle. And this is...
1 point, which gives it its 3rd token.
Yeah, almost definitely a mistake. The Assault Chariots are kind of a little bit more conditioned to clear infantry. And Evan's list doesn't have a ton of infantry, but I'm going to shoot and try to kill some beast handlers, should I say. So it scatters just past the turtle, shooting kind of a bit obliquely. Next shot shoots just over Zaadesh, scatters a couple of inches to the 6. Managed to put points in on, I think it gets, Zaadesh and a Agonizer or something like that?
It gets Zaadesh and the Krea.
And the Krea, right.
And then it puts 2 points into the Krea and doesn't actually end up damaging Zaadesh.
Yeah, Zaadesh is dice -8, so maybe would do a couple of points, but it's fine. The explosions on this gun are, the blast damage is high explosive, so it's POW 10, and under Butcher's feat it's 3 dice POW 10, so it could actually do some reasonable work to pieces. Again, I've kind of feated and gone all in with 2 chariots against a target that they're not well suited to taking out, which is this Animantarax.
Arm 24 turtle.
Yeah. So, hindsight's 20/20. I move up with the strike tanker because I'm fairly committed to this plan now, and it gets to do 4 dice for damage, and it's armor piercing. Does a reasonable amount.
10 damage.
And more importantly, it's got Grievous. So now I'm thinking about this a little bit less like I'm going to kill it on my feat turn, and more like a multi-turn plan, where now that I've done some chip damage, taken out about a third of it, maybe I can take it out over the next turn or 2. Which will help.
Yeah, makes sense. Suppression tanker, not
commit
in
it
range.
next turn. Strike tanker's there. Suppression tanker just runs up. Just kind of draw the line of engagement a little bit further back. Hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
So I think about just going for the other POW 20. Now, the other POW 20 does, as I mentioned before, about 7 points of damage here on the Siege Chariot. And I initially moved to do that, place some clouds, just kind of put it up here. And then I take a step back and I think, well, last turn Evan kept going all in on a plan that sort of was falling apart, and maybe that's a mistake. So I changed my mind. And I decide instead I'm going to reposition him just a little bit, and not literally reposition, but just move the model to a different spot, and start taking my shots at the other turtle. It's not inviolable resolved. It's outside of the Krea aura. My chances of finishing it are much, much higher. So I hit it, and again, that 5 would have missed the other turtle, so already I'm feeling better about this plan. And then it's POW 20, which is dice, does 8 points of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I'm not. It's taken up a couple of points now, so it's not a terrible plan anymore. And I can't get out of range of the Aradus' ability to charge.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for a couple of places where I can put this chariot that leave room for the strike tanker to come up and shoot the turtle. I'm in a really awkward positioning spot. The strike tanker has a fairly linear vector to get within 12, where he has to kind of curve around the building a little bit. But coming around the building gives him very little play on where his final movement is. So I'd like him to just come up alongside the chariot. And I can't quite do that. It's more movement than he has, being only speed 4 in Man-O-War armor. So now what I have to do is I have to interpose him between the chariot and the mechanics who want to fix it, which means after the chariot activates, it's not going to be able to repo and put them in position to repair it, which is a huge problem because this is actually the more damaged chariot by quite a margin. We're checking what the sort of most linear vector is. So what's going to happen this turn is after we do a number of measurements, including some steppers and trying to fuss around this stupid building, we're going to realize that the chariot has to go pretty far over, which means the strike tanker can come up almost straight, and those mechanics are going to not be able to repair the chariot at all if it wants to contribute its shooting. And I try a line where the chariot goes to just the other side, and that giant obstruction really restricts where it can place. So this is the kind of the moment during the course of the game where I'm like, maybe I should have gone second and chosen the other side, because the obstructions on this side have been tricky for me for sure. And it's weird to think about, like a lot of the kind of the default assumption in Steamroller a lot of the time is that just it's universally better to always go first. And I think there are a couple of tables and a couple of list designs that challenge that expectation. Do you think it's fair to say?
Yeah, I think that this is an example of that. If you hadn't, or if I had gone first, I wouldn't have had the option of trying to potentially take off a tanker on turn 1, or rather chariot on turn 1, and you probably would have been pressuring me a lot more to stay back because of how far you were threading with your advanced moves. So
we dial up shots. This guy generates 4 shots again, doing a nice number of shots, but rolls slightly below expectation for damage and softens up the turtle a little bit more. Not enough that I'd say he's comfortably going to finish him this time, but enough that I'm at least putting good attrition work into him. We move up the strike tanker next. There's some overhanging Man-O-War parts that have to interlace a little bit delicately. And he takes a shot. Hits. It's a good hit. But then this is dice -2 with 4 dice. And he spikes a little bit here. It's a nice 16 damage.
Yeah, that one hurts. Leaves the turtle on 2 boxes.
Yeah. And that kind of hurts in its own way, because it would have been really nice to remove a turtle from effectiveness. He is grievously wounded from the gun, so it's not like Evan's going to be able to medicate him or do anything like that, but it does still leave me with a turtle on the table at the end of this turn. The suppression tanker is not in a great position. I've kind of boxed him in with both the chariot and the obstructions there. So I end up just kind of moving him forward and placing the covering fire template. He's got a weird vector. He has to put his covering fire template in his line of sight, but he can draw line of sight through intervening models to do that. So he places it with this little from the right side of his base. He can draw line of sight way up here past that little obstruction. So he's not completely behind the obstruction. He's mostly behind a chariot. I place the covering fire such that if Evan wants to charge his turtle into this guy, he's going to have to take a POW 10. Does a POW 10 kill a turtle? No. But if I roll boxcars, it does. Maybe he thinks twice about that. Probably not. Either way, it's there. It's a mild deterrent.
So on my turn. First, I'm thinking Ruin might be a bit of a problem. If I want to kill Ruin this turn without using a turtle, I can use the turtle to kill an assault chariot, which feels good, or a siege chariot, whatever one I think is more important. Probably the siege chariot, but could be either. So I'm looking at the vector here for the bug to trample across the forest with rush and pull Ruin forward so that the Gladiator can get in, but I don't have the range on that. If I pull him forward, then the bug his base is in the way, and Ruin is too far back, and I'm still not getting it. But I try a couple different measurements, couple different vectors, and it just it's not there. But I upkeep Inviolable on the turtle, and we start to make the plan. So the bug is definitely in range of the Siege Chariot across the zone from him. That's probably a good target, as well as the fact that I can start putting attacks into the objective this turn. So I might as well do that if I can. The bugs get to the singular bug, rather, gets to a pretty ridiculous high POW. With my feet, he goes from 18 to 20 on his main bite, and with Enrage, he goes to POW Strength 22, with the claw attacks going from 15 to 19.
Yeah, there's a lot of stacking buffing in Zaadesh, which I think works well for the list.
But like that's the bite gets to even a higher POW than the Bronzeback does in this list, because the Bronzeback goes from 19 to 21 on his highest POW attack. Mind you, you're losing in POW on the attacks that pull, and you only have 1-inch reach on the bite attack, but it gets to a very high power.
Is the bite base 18?
It's base 18.
The Bronzeback base 17?
Yep.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, the Bronzeback obviously makes up for it a little bit in its just innumerable initials. Mm-hmm. And I think even its leadership is really good.
Yeah. So the turtle goes in here. I decide to impact attack the chariot. Might as well just put some damage in, force repairs. Cavalry charge knocks down Ruin, so I don't have to worry about Vengeful.
Yep.
I am dice even because Zaadesh moved up and feeded, as well as put up battle charged and rushed a Aradus. And now I'm just cranking out the damage. Do a couple of points with the spear attacks even. It's going to go... They're doing some good damage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a good turn for it. And Evan rolling hot on this turn really makes up for just the free loss of an Archidon the previous turn.
That said, I do make a poor choice on my attacks with the gun. I decide I want to deal some damage to that suppression tanker, or strike tanker rather. It's dice off 6, and I figure if I spike a little bit, it dies, but these shots can't really do anything much anywhere else. Where I should have been putting them is Ruin, because they're dice off 5, so they're probably going to do at least 2 points damage.
And you conclude at the end that you take the shots into Ruin, or so?
I put the last shot into Ruin.
Right.
Which didn't do, or it did 1 damage, but he's still left on 2 boxes. Thankfully, he is in a corrosion puddle, and he's very far away from any mechanics that can repair him. So that 2 damage, or only in movement, is probably fine. That said, I'm still not a huge fan of him standing up and then just knocking Inviolable Resolve off of my turtle, because that seems sad.
Yep.
In terms of the rest of my battle group that's left behind there, mostly the Gladiator. Gladiator is just going to move up in posture, be ready for next turn to do work, because I don't think anything's going to want to focus on him when there's still a turtle in people's face.
Yeah, it's interesting, because where he is, he threatens a lot of stuff with that countercharge.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Including just putting himself in a zone.
Yep. Beast Handlers are in a weird position this turn. I want to make sure that the green bug that's going to go into the chariot gets Enrage and a free charge, but I can't do that with a single unit of Beast Handlers, because 1 unit of Beast Handlers can get in Enrage, but doesn't have anything base to base, or that can get base to base, so the other unit's going to have to run to get there. But in order for that to happen, the Bronzeback needs to move first. Well, do I want free charges or Enrage on the Bronzeback? I don't think it really matters. What was the exact words I said? Buffs are a sham. Bronzeback kills anything anyways. Charge through the covering fire. Yeah, I believe that's what I said, and then just did it. The Agonizer that ran up next to the chariot did no spells, because I just figured he didn't really have much else to do. And if I tag Butcher in that, he's going to have to move before he rotates Fury over after I kill the Siege Chariot. So it's forcing him to move. Bronzeback, don't need no buffs. Buffs are a sham. He kills anything. Charge through covering fire. Doesn't take any damage. Rolls 13 damage on his first attack. Boxcars to kill on his second attack. Buffs are a sham. Bronzeback kills anything.
It's so bad.
And now the beast handlers can go and buff this bug. So green unit just runs because they all need to get out of the way of this turtle. Because I noticed that the turtle can just walk and shoot ruin, and then I don't have to deal with him.
So, harsh lesson to learn here. Don't give Zaadesh literally everything in your army on his feat turn. No matter how durable you think it is, he's an armor cracking list. He will crack a whole bunch of armor. Layer your pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely losing that Chariot is a big deal, especially when that bug, who is, as we mentioned before, harder hitting even than a Bronzeback, and is going to have buffs.
Yes. So, important note, the turtle only did 1 damage to Ruin, but that's okay because he's corroded.
Ruin is on 1 box in his movement and corroded.
Sitting in a puddle of acid.
Correct.
Bug rolls real good, murders a Chariot, has 4 Fury to spare, buys 2 attacks into the objective, is sitting on 2.
So it was fully my expectation that Evan might kill a couple of these pieces after I looked at the board and thought about the math on his feet. I did expect the bug and the Bronzeback to have to spend some Fury to do it, and I was wrong.
They did not. So now the plan becomes basically, I've collapsed the right-hand side of the board, or at least my right-hand side, the bottom of the table.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can start sweeping my beasts towards the top and just kind of clear out what I can as I go. And Tim has to figure out how to solve that. So what's your plan, Tim?
Well, Corrosion does not go out on Ruin in the maintenance phase, so he takes his remaining box and dies. That's obviously a problem. If Ruin could simply stand up, remove Inviolable Resolve, then this turtle goes down pretty comfortably. So think about a couple of different options here. The first kind of initial plan I consider is I've got mechanics in the zone. There's only a Bronzeback here. If I can prevent Evan from having a nice counter charge anywhere, and I can just use that strike tanker to bulldoze the Bronzeback out, I put a couple of points of damage into the Bronzeback and push it out of the zone, and the strike tanker finishes the siege Animantarax. I'll take a defensive strike from the Bronzeback, but he's pound 19. I'm armor 21, so he needs to literally roll boxcars to kill me. And although that happened a couple of times last turn, I think it's a safe enough plan to bank on that he's not going to do that. So, plan number 1 is strike tanker kills the Animantarax and clears the zone, scoring me a point. I mean, it's a little risky. It means basically I just ignore the Bronzeback this turn. Maybe Butcher goes over and kills the Aradus personally. The Suppression tanker might be able to aim and do some damage to the Agonizer. If he does that, maybe I can afford to cycle Fury. I do upkeep Iron Flesh on Butcher. My other 2 upkeeps are gone. Spriggan powers up. And I've got a strike tanker who can shoot the other turtle and who's only armor 22 now. So that drops him down to 12, which is dice minus 4. I still roll 3 dice, though, so that does maybe about another 7 points to him. And then I've got some guns from some chariots that are no longer boosted from the feet. So I'm in a position now where, I might kill the turtle in that zone, and I'm definitely able to move the Bronzeback out of this zone. If I score 2 points right now and kill both turtles, I feel like the game is on. At least that's my assessment.
Yeah, that's fair. I think after that, at that point, I still have a good deal of work I can do with beasts.
Probably, but I think the situation is a bit more playable at least.
For sure.
I'm not saying then I win the game, but being up 2 points and you being down 2 turtles, it would be pretty secure for me.
A good swing.
Yeah. So I bulldoze. This is one concurrent bulldoze move. I'm just shifting the model into place. With his charge attack there, and Evan makes a defensive strike.
So I have I have a defensive strike on the Bronzeback, and also because of how the bug's facing when he charged the Chariot, he can see the tanker and can make a counter charge.
So I didn't anticipate this. He's definitely less than 3 inches of woods away, and his facing is correct. I sort of looked at him a little bit sideways and sort of didn't see quite where his counter charge is. So this is certainly catching me by surprise.
That said, I do debate it for a little bit here, because I'm like, if the bug goes that way and it's facing weird, then the turn after he's not really going to be able to do the sweeping thing I wanted to, so he's not really going to be able to do as much work in the top as I might need, because I'm assuming that top turtle is going to go down. But I think it's worth just forcing you to use the strike tanker in the top to shoot the same turtle, or you have to let me have a turtle on 2 boxes. Like, those are your options.
And that's actually a huge problem, because that was my plan to kill this turtle, and now I'm down a strike tanker. The thing that Evan's not even mentioning that is huge there, that I just also didn't realize, is his mandibles are chain weapons.
Yeah.
So my armor 21 strike tanker is actually only armor 17, just dice even, and you rolled at least a 10. Killed him.
Yep, and because this is my feat turn, I'm +2 to strength, so yeah, it hurts.
So that's bad. The suppression tanker behind that objective aimed and took a couple shots at the Agonizer. It left him on 4 boxes, I think.
Yeah, he is hurting. I think he has 2 boxes left.
2 boxes. So aiming a couple shots there. I look to see if maybe the Spriggan can move over and get him in a line of sight to just like lob a couple of shots on him. I debated charging the Spriggan into the siege Animantarax. I feel like if I do that, I actually end up proccing a countercharge from that Gladiator and then not clearing the zone, which is maybe an issue. Although, like, hindsight being 2020, probably what should have happened is Butcher should have engaged the bug first, just shoot a defensive strike, space arm 20, and then killed it just with melee attacks. Bought me the strike tanker here. But even if that doesn't happen, maybe Butcher just backs out of no spellcasting range, fully allocates to the Spriggan, puts Fury on him, charges the Spriggan at that turtle, and then, yes, you'll countercharge him with a Gladiator, but probably the Gladiator doesn't take out anything on the Spriggan on the countercharge, and then maybe I get Chariots on a Gladiator. Like, that should have been the plan this turn, but I kind of didn't really give it enough credit. So the Spriggan just takes some shots instead. Or, pardon me, sorry, the suppression tanker takes some shots.
You're doing this in such an order because you have to, if you move with the strike tanker first, the Spriggan can't get in and do anything on the turtle. So instead, but eventually you change your mind and you just take shots.
Yeah, I'm sort of a little bit all over this place because I'm probably a bit tilted from the strike tanker dying. But what I do is I move the other strike tanker up after moving the suppression tanker out of the way so that it's in range to shoot the turtle, which it does roll the 6 to hit, which is very important, and it rolls enough damage to kill the turtle. So it moves up into position to be out of countercharge and in 12 to shoot that turtle. It shoots the turtle, and it kills it. So now my problem is I had probably at the top of this turn a couple of avenues to kill 2 turtles, and through a combination of battle charge, defensive strike positioning, and just kind of a little bit of little tiny positioning mistakes on my part, I've now kind of walked myself out of a couple of those possibilities. So I will be scoring a point in that bottom zone, but now it's down to 2 chariots to kill an inviolable resolved turtle who has, at this point, I think 20-something boxes? 24 boxes. And again, with the positioning of this obstruction and Evan's turtle, the one who's in the turtle's back arc can't quite charge it, which denies it not only a boost on its attack roll, but a second attack and a boosted damage die.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm losing out on 3 potential damage dice just by the kind of awkwardness of my positioning here. So looking back on this game, and again, kind of with the benefit of hindsight, the Spriggan's whole job this turn should have been to go in on that turtle, and I should have just accepted that I'm not going to score that zone and the Gladiator is going to come in and use these tankers to deal with it. Because if that turtle's dead and those tankers can both kind of back off and just lob shots into the game, I've got a lot more kind of playable options. Again, first game using the tankers, or pardon me, the chariots, I'm overestimating their durability and underestimating their mobility, which is a very, very powerful tool. You can always spike dice and kill something that's high armor. You can't go extra distance in this game.
It's true.
And they're more mobile than I've been giving them credit for. Unfortunately, I fill the turtle up on rage tokens, and while I do a bit of damage to it, I think I leave it alive on 12?
12 boxes.
Yeah, 12 is a comfortable number for the inviolable resolved turtle. Although it's probably enough that the Spriggan could have done the job.
You also start taking some shots at my support in the back line here. Take out another Beast Handler.
Yeah, I mean, again, you don't have a ton of infantry, but chipping away at what you've got is going to give me kind of some sort of aggression, a couple of tools to sort of just threaten a bit more. Butcher's on 5 here, so I'm not in range to really threaten you, but I walk to within 8 inches and I just fire a blunderbuss shot at him. He's not in the Krea aura, so Butcher hits and boosts damage. It's POW 12, so unfortunately it's off 10. But I do put a few boxes in, and I think now you've got 10 left.
No, I have 10 boxes left.
Yeah. So I've spent a lot of time this turn doing not a ton. Losing a couple of pieces that I'd hoped not to lose, and not maybe adequately scoring. But I have a 1-point scenario lead, and I have 2 chariots still alive. And I've killed 1 of the turtles.
So my Agonizer frenzies into my bug. Does some damage.
Bronzeback doesn't frenzy on 1 fury?
Nope, I took his fury back.
Okay.
Yeah, I took a fury back from the Bronzeback, 2 back from the bug, and 2 back from the Gladiator. Left it on the Agonizer and the other Agonizer. Yep.
Yeah, it's a tie game. 1 point scenario.
Oh, actually, the Gladiator didn't have any fury. Sorry, I took it back from the Krea because he ended his run in the leadership aura. So, yeah, he was just empty. At this point, I'm thinking about what I can do. How do I kill both of those chariots? How do I just get to such a point in the attrition that the only thing that Tim has to do work is Butcher, and if he does work with Butcher, he dies. Because while I have more pieces that can score on scenario, and I can likely make it so that I score the middle zone, and I'm the thing is, I'm probably never going to clear the bottom zone, just because mechanics are just going to be so spaced apart that I can't kill them with the models I have, that being a Bronzeback, because he's going to have to just kill 1 a turn, which is sad. So I decide that what I'm going to do here is with the turtle, I'm going to go into the Assault Chariot, or Siege Chariot, the one closer to the top of the thing, and just... I can probably kill it on average dice with a turtle. Like, this dice off 1. I have 4 tail attacks, a dice off 1 rather. A mount attack at dice off 4, and I think I roll 4 gunshots at dice off 4, and I have 2 dice off 8 spears. And with all that culmination of bunch of attacks, I managed to kill it, have 1 attack left over, and then use the tail attack into the leftover tail attack into the other chariot, doing 10 damage.
I mean, the fact that you probably do actually kill 2 chariots on average here makes it like a bit of a moot point that your dice are good here. But the important part is that your dice aren't bad.
Correct.
Like, you don't have a turn like that first Archidon turn. You have a turn where you didn't really need to roll an 11 for damage there, but it certainly means that you can afford to roll poorly with the Gladiator now.
It means I can comfortably use the Gladiator to rush himself, which means Zaadesh can do what he's doing now, which is rush this bug so that he can trample through the forest and put some damage into the tankers, which are probably the most threatening thing on Tim's side of the table. These beast handlers run into the zone and also enrage and give free charges to the Bronzeback. And also, the bug just gets free or enrage. That's the thing. I heal it for 1 as well because it's taken some damage, not a huge amount, but healing is good.
That initial 6 basically is now down to 5. Like, if you can whittle that number down repeatedly, the better off you are.
So I pay 1 to trample. I do trample over my own Agonizer just because of how he frenzied into me. I hit and kill the Agonizer. I'm not worried about that.
Yep, your attrition lead is such that you're not too uncomfortable with it.
I buy an attack into the tanker with my claw attack. That is dice even. Roll boxcars and kill it on my first attack. I was expecting to need 2 to kill it, but I'm okay with this. I'll take it. This means I can buy into the other tanker and kill it in 2 attacks. which means I have cleared all but one tanker from the table.
That's very good. That's a lot.
Yeah, definitely above average, though I was going to buy 3 attacks into that strike tanker, regardless of whether or not, I didn't kill it on the first attack. So I get 2 instead of 1, which is nice. These beast handlers go in, enrage the gladiator, give it a free charge. It rushes itself and charges for free. I realized that after I put the 1 fury down, but I take it back. Hits the charge, crushes the damage roll, does 12 damage. Second attack, I roll another 11 for damage, and it just destroys that chariot. Just takes it off the table. So yeah, Gladiator sitting there on 2 fury, rolled very well. Bronzeback's just going to go contest this zone for the rest of the game so that mechanics aren't scoring it, and kill one of them.
So it's definitely looking like using the Spriggan to kill that turtle would have been a really big deal. Not only would my positioning have been probably better, but I might have even been in a spot where I could kill the gladiator. And now instead the gladiator's right up in my face. The turtle's there. I probably can't kill both this turn, so I'm in a sticky spot.
In fact, because I moved back to kill the chariot that was behind me with the turtle, Butcher's out of charge range of the turtle now.
Yeah, the problem is Butcher1 has no access to Boundless Charge or Relentless Charge or anything like that, so he doesn't have a way to get over that kind of corrosive water. So while that turtle is within 10 inches of Butcher, the vector on which I'd have to go means I can't get in with a charge. So I allocate 2 to the Spriggan. I sort of debate a couple of options here. I really want the Spriggan to kill this Aradus. He's dice -1. The Aradus has taken 5 points of damage, and he has 4 POW 18s. So he does 24 damage plus a couple of points. So it's like about 26 damage. That should kind of just kill him. It's close. I consider furying him. But I decided just allocating him is probably enough to finish the Aradus. The Suppression anchor moves up, and it kills the 2 beast handlers who are in the zone. It moved up in such a way that it was just out of line of sight of the Bronzeback.
Yeah, because the Bronzeback charged, he's facing the complete opposite direction.
Yeah, so, again, there's a few things here that are going to be tricky. I mean, I'm chipping away at Evan's pieces, but he does have the lead. So now I need Butcher to come contribute, and in a significant way. And I kind of need that turtle to die, and I don't really have a great way to do it. So my hope is, if the Spriggan does well and kills the Aradus, Butcher kills the Gladiator, maybe he doesn't finish me with a turtle because of Iron Flesh. Spriggan does not do well. It rolls double 1s on a hit roll once. It rolls a 3 for damage once. I think of the 26 odd damage I was expecting to do, I do 15.
Yup.
So you've now taken 20 damage, but are still pretty okay. I think at this point only Mind is out.
Mind and body are out.
Mind and body are both out.
Yeah, I have 7 boxes left in my spirit.
It's pretty good. Definitely should have furied him. But even with the fury, the double 1s would be a bit of a problem. The Spriggan does have dual attack, so it makes a couple of shots at the beast handlers over there, and it ends up killing one of them with a lucky hit. The other ones miss, get clipped by blast, but are fine because the Krea aura protecting the one of them. So Butcher sees how far he can charge. Charges a little bit obliquely, charges the Gladiator, does not get in on the turtle, which is again a big deal. Hits his charge attack on the Gladiator with Mat 9. He's a POW 16 Weapon Master. Does a good chunk of damage. Got a couple more attacks, a hit, and then another attack. Also a hit. I think at this point I leave you on 4 boxes? 3 boxes.
Yeah.
So he buys his last attack, feeling a bit wistful about having to go down to 0 camp. But he kills the Gladiator. And then these mechanics are mostly just trying to jam the Siege Animantarax. So maybe one of its independent attacks fail and it has a harder time getting to Butcher. But they do charge him. they miss a couple of times, actually, because they're only map 5.
2 of them miss, and you do no damage with the other ones, which is probably a good thing, honestly.
Are you on 2 rage tokens?
I'm on 0 rage
Zero
tokens.
rage tokens.
So giving me any probably would have been real bad.
Fair enough. I mean, I think you're still on 10 boxes, so
Man.
my vain hope that I did 10 damage with POW 8 mechanics is pretty foolish.
Yeah. Dice off 14?
Yeah, it's a good indication that kind of the late game problem is very real. If Butcher gets in on the Animantarax, the situation is different. But without being able to put a really hard hitting piece into it, I'm trying to put chip damage into something that simply is invulnerable to chip damage.
The Bronzeback here frenzied because halfway through my last turn, I was like, oh, he charged. He should have Fury. Completely forgetting that he was base to base with a Beast Handler, so he didn't need to have that Fury. But whatever, he's still doing his job, which is contest the zone forever.
Cool. Yeah. Killing a mechanic a turn, which is, yeah. There you
go. Beast Handler goes, whips the turtle, gives it a rage token. It now has 9 boxes left.
Yep.
And then Turtle's gonna turt. He's not gonna kill Butcher, but he's definitely gonna knock him down.
So first he's making his independent attacks.
Yeah, so the spear attacks on the turtle can be used before the turtle moves. So I do that and then move into Butcher because Butcher was not in range otherwise.
I do no damage with the free strike that I actually probably shouldn't have taken.
Correct. And then I boost using the rage token I just got, knock Butcher to the ground, and do 4 points of damage to him. And then I dial up the gun. I get 3 shots. I hit. These are all dice -6. So I just do a couple points with them each.
You rolled
this is pretty good.
A lot of damage on these.
It was, I did
9 points of damage.
9? Okay.
2 dice -6 attacks? 3 dice -6 attacks.
You have 7 boxes left.
Yep. Sorry, 9 and 4 is 13. Oh, sorry, I'm in 7 boxes left. Yeah, I've taken 13 damage.
So I move Zaadesh up just because I want the bug here to be in control when I charge with it. I should have healed the bug, but I did not realize until I check my grid to mark the damage the Spriggan does that I only have my spirit left. And I was like, oh, I should have dumped my 6 focus into my body so I had a damage die. This was dumb.
So he paid 1 to charge and takes a free strike from the Spriggan, has 7 boxes remaining.
But I have Carapace.
But you have Carapace. Yeah, so 7 boxes remaining, but +4 armor against free strikes. You're on 23. So dice -5. I hit. You roll a 12, which is like a 30-something%, 40-something%. And I don't. I roll a 10 and leave you alive on 2 boxes.
Yep. So the bug has spent 1 to charge. And he's using his POW 18 on the charge. It's dice -2. He does 8.
Sorry, was it the POW 18?
Or sorry,
15.
It had to be the POW 15 to drag you in first.
Yeah. So I only did 5 on that.
I only
which
did 5.
2.
And then I buy, or I
you make your initial.
Make the initial. Don't do any damage, but I buy and boost because I'm like, why am I not boosting? I need to roll a 7 to kill you. So I do and kill the Butcher.
Correct. Yeah, and he can't make a tough check because he is knocked down.
Because turtle.
Yep.
So that is the game, if a bit of a long one.
Yeah, I think it was a good game. I mean, ultimately it ended up being kind of a weird, kind of grindy attrition game. Mm-hmm. Some good lessons about the Siege Chariots. I do actually think they're pretty cool models, and I think the list is maybe more of a linear skew than it would otherwise be, but I think the Siege Chariots play a really cool role in the list, and we will be featuring them in another game.
Yeah.
Maybe a game with some more infantry too, just to sort of see what the assault chariots versus the tankers are, or pardon me, versus the siege chariots.
In fact, maybe that game has already come out, depending on the order of these videos.
We'll see. Yeah. Anyway, if you'd like to receive our videos 1 week early, feel free to support us on Patreon. It's patreon.com/arcaneassist. We really appreciate it. It gives us the opportunity to be able to do this and feature more content.
For sure.
And, play more stuff.
Yeah.
If you're viewing this on Patreon and you have any suggestions for a list or a particular matchup you'd like to see, please let us know in the comments below. We take our most dedicated supporters really seriously and appreciate the content. being able to do what we do.
And aside from those things, remember us to follow us on the social media. We have Twitter, we have Facebook. Facebook is the most the thing we use the most in terms of
communication.
Communication.
Yep.
If aside from the Patreon, it's the place you will see the videos come up second.
Yep. And we do obviously have the Arcane Assist Discord if you want to chat with us directly.
Mm-hmm.
Available to check out if you're so inclined.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next Monday.